can see, at the end of the day, if you let Caitlin Clark play her game, this team can make some noise. If you don't let Caitlin Clark play her game, this team will be playing with... Oh, Stephanie. This is the most dumbest coach in the league. You have the player coaches die for her, and White is doing everything she can to kill CeCe's brand and take away her talent, and not willing to put a team around her, also willing to drag down the whole league with it couldn't see if you rides the boat, all tides will be lifted. She was known for team killer, and that fits now.
The basketball community was apparently horrified by something that occurred within the Indiana Fever organization. World. Additionally, supporters on the internet claimed that this was more than just a locker room rumor, because people believed this time. At last, the entire Fever system had burst from the inside out, and in the middle of it all, Caitlin Clark, Stephanie White, as well as an ESPN report that was leaked and caused a whole internet explosion. The fever was already really high. Pressure, fans dissatisfied with coaching choices, concerns about the chemistry in the team room, and ongoing controversies concerning Caitlin Clark, as well as constant criticism directed at Stephanie White following months of emotional turmoil over the group. However, everything abruptly felt different as the most recent reports began to circulate online. Larger, more risky, because rumors circulating on social media claimed that ESPN sources had talked about the escalating conflict within the Fever organization. Nothing has been formally confirmed. However, after fans heard references to Indiana's internal strain and frustration in the locker room, instantly, the internet lost control. Many fans initially believed it to be just another inflated sporting event. Rumor. However, things quickly deteriorated as footage from recent Fever games began to reappear. Online, players appearing detached, furious timeout exchanges, and emotional sideline outbursts. Fans started dissecting every second once more, and all of a sudden, they thought the Fever locker room had already begun to crack. Separated for several weeks, the moment that altered everything then arrived. There were rumors that Stephanie White might possibly, amid the commotion surrounding Caitlin Clark and the response from fans, turn away from the Fever. And, to be honest, on the internet, that possibility alone went viral. Fans of Clark ejected her. The strain got to be too much. The fever became uncontrollable. Instantly, the remarks went viral, and all of a sudden, the WNBA globe began to watch Indiana once more. Caitlin Clark, meanwhile, said nothing in public. Interviews should not be dramatic. No sentimental posts on social media. Nothing. And for some reason, the story seemed even more expansive because of that quiet. Because fans thought Clark was emotionally spent from under unbearable pressure for months. Around the company, Sophie Cunningham then joined the narrative. To be honest, at that point, the internet totally blew up.
ESPN's newest stooge, Laurencia Moten. Just like Carolyn Peck, just like Stephanie White, they all believe the Indiana Fever is tougher to guard when Caitlin Clark is not in the lineup. Different day, but it's the same message they keep going out. And who is this person in the middle of my screen? Didn't we get rid of Monica McNutt last year? She's back, isn't she? Ah, dang.
Here's my hot take. Honestly, the Indiana Fever played some of their best team basketball without Caitlin Clark, and that's because she's like the sun that offense kind of orbits around. The ball is constantly in her hands, which just made it their offense extremely easy to guard. Now, without her in the lineup, Stephanie White had to decide who else was going to get in the mix. And their offense became so much more diverse. We saw Kelsey Mitchell having a tremendous season. Lexi Hull got in the fold. Aaliyah Boston, another dominant season. But all because they had to do it without Caitlin Clark. And that made their offense extremely hard to guard.
Fever finished 24-20 last year.
Look at Monica McNutt. Oh, folks, you know what this sounds like? This sounds like a certain somebody else.
You were at that game just now. Look, the Fever have been on a tear. They've won 2 in a row, a 25-point blowout of the Lynx in the Commissioner's Cup final, and then 27 against the Aces in this one. In both of those games without Caitlin Clark. How is Indiana getting this done right now?
Because fan theories circulating online claim that Sophie was irritated during recent team moments involving communication and coaching. Then a single quote rumor became viral on the internet that we are capable of self-coaching. Once more, there is no official confirmation, however, as admirers noticed Sophie Cunningham's emotional intensity. Social media was entirely overtaken by turmoil following the Stephanie White rumors, since fans have already seen. Fans applauded Sophie for being one of Caitlin Clark's strongest supporters in the locker room and for her willingness, passion, and intensity to emotionally defend comrades, and fans now thought Sophie had reached her breaking point. Meanwhile, Stephanie White's admirers completely turned on her in internet comment sections. Cruel sports pages were inundated with impassioned responses, and several fans publicly accused the coaching staff of squandering the most significant participant in women's basketball. Then there was yet another turn of events. There were rumors circulating that before the season, a number of Fever players had grown dissatisfied with the team's general trajectory, even completely stabilized. Once more, there is no official confirmation. However, by this point, fans took every rumor at face value. Because Indiana's emotional climate already appeared precarious, then debate clips from ESPN began, spreading all over the internet once more. Every statement was repeated by fans, every response, every time Indiana drama is mentioned. Supporters quickly grew to believe that the group was concealing something far more significant behind the scenes. Rival fan bases, however, joined right into the mayhem. Fans from Chicago and Las Vegas, Dallas supporters. On the internet, everyone began responding, because at this moment, the entire basketball game revolved around the Indiana Fever world once more. But to be honest, Caitlin Clark is currently under that kind of pressure. Every second becomes national news. Every gossip becomes viral on the internet. Every emotional response turns into a contentious issue. Additionally, following months of controversy surrounding, fans think the organization eventually began to crumble under the strain of the Fever. Then another poignant moment occurred that caused supporters to lose it. A video of Caitlin Clark walking silently appeared online. After a challenging game, spectators cheered her on from the stands as she made her way to the locker room. Immediately, the picture went viral. Additionally, a lot of fans thought Clark was emotionally spent. Not upset, not sentimental, just worn out.
They're all buddies. Now they're all friends. They're pals. So Stephanie White tells Carolyn Peck how she feels about Caitlin Clark and the offense when the ball's in her hands and the offense when she's on the floor and how Caitlin Clark affects the game. And then Carolyn Peck goes on ESPN and regurgitates that same message that Stephanie White gave her. And now ESPN hires this newest stooge who's looking up to Mama Hen, a.k.a. Carolyn Peck, and now she's regurgitating the stuff that Carolyn Peck said to her. But let's talk about it, shall we? Let's take a look, shall we? Shout out to Millie, daydream this. The Fever are better with Caitlin Clark. A look at Indiana's performance with and without Clark on the floor. Record, better with Caitlin Clark. Win percentage, better with Caitlin Clark. Points per game, higher with Caitlin Clark. Offensive rating, higher with Caitlin Clark. Effective field goal percentage, higher with Caitlin Clark. Assist rate, higher with Caitlin Clark. But we're not done here. Win percentage, points per game, field goals made per game, field goals attempted per game, field goal percentage. Three-pointers made, all better with Caitlin Clark. Three-pointers attempted, less with Caitlin. So you guys attempt more threes without Caitlin Clark than with Caitlin Clark? That kind of goes against the narrative, doesn't it? The three-point percentage is yet better with Caitlin Clark. Free throws made.
At that point, the discussions intensified even further. Fans no longer thought that this was solely about basketball approach. They thought Caitlin Clark's entire emotional surroundings had turned poisonous. The coaching issue, the media attention, the pressure, and the fouls. Everything had been preparing for too much time. Meanwhile, Lexi Hall and Sophie Cunningham continued to get a ton of support on the internet. Their obvious vitality was praised by fans around Clark, and a lot of fans thought that some players in the locker room were already getting ready for significant organizational adjustments. The most significant rumor of all was then that Stephanie White had secretly become overpowered by the constant pressure related to the Fever issue. Once more, nothing has been formally confirmed. However, the internet erupted when that rumor combined with fan anger and ESPN leaked claims. Dramatic headlines appeared on sports pages right away. I asked the locker room for Fever collapsing. Is Stephanie White no longer on the team? Will Caitlin Clark make it through the mayhem? These discussions became viral. And to be honest, there was a sudden sense of tremendous strain in the Indiana area. Caitlin Clark is more than just no longer a player. The entire WNBA debate revolves around her. Every choice she makes is different. The league, every dispute makes headlines across the country. Fans now think that the Fever may be approaching its most hazardous stage. Not yet, but despite everything going on, there is still one thing that seems unavoidable. Fans aren't giving up on Caitlin Clark. In fact, they're doing more than ever to keep her safe. And following the most recent Stephanie, supporters feel a significant tipping point may finally be approaching due to White rumors, the uproar over the ESPN leak, and Sophie Cunningham's comments. Throughout Indiana, the entire basketball community is now watching to see if Caitlin's fever really gets out of control. During the Clark era, there might be a huge backlash around the league, and following all of that, fans think the chaos in Indiana may be just getting started.